So session 4 is the client journey. Everything that you need to know from how when a lead comes to you to how to finally convert it so that you actually get the project and you get the money, right? Now, what happens is most designers really struggle with this part because they think they need more leads. Yes, getting leads is important, but if you don't convert the leads into projects, you'll just keep getting leads and nothing is really going to work out for you to actually get the project, right? So, in very simple steps, these are the eight entire stages that your client ideally goes through from the beginning to the end. First is awareness. They see your content or they hear from you from somebody, right? Some way or the other, they get to know about you. So they are in awareness stage. The second is interest stage. Either they message you on Instagram or they message you on WhatsApp, or some of them even directly call you, right? This is when they've shown interest on understanding that, okay, I'm interested in working with this person to design my space. Third, qualification. This is basically for you to understand that if this client is a right fit for your niche, for the budget that you want to design for, and everything, right? It works both ways. It's not just the client who has to be like, is this the right designer? As a designer, it's very important to understand if the client is also a right fit for you because it's a long term relationship. It's sometimes months, sometimes years, right? For discovery call. This discovery call is not to pitch your project. This is not to pitch your services. It is actually to understand their problem and understanding their problem, how you non-sales way sell to them is what the discovery call is about. After the discovery call, 5 is proposal. This is where you actually present your offer. A lot of you do this step right in the beginning. And because you give the price right in the beginning, is why the client ghosts you, literally ghosts you, right? After you give the proposal, point 6 is follow up. Follow up is now, let's say you send the proposal, it doesn't end there. You have to follow up. Sometimes the client gets busy because of other things, not because they're rejecting you. And you think that, oh, the client didn't respond to me. There are multiple things the client is also going through, right? So, following up is a very important part. Point 7 is closing. How do you finally close the project? How do you get them to sign and pay the advance to you? And point number 8, after you've closed them, how do you get them onboarded? Because what you do in the first week of onboarding is how they're going to look at you for the rest of the entire project. So this literally stages how your relationship is going to be with the client, right? So I'm going to explain to you more in detail about each of these 8 stages, but this is a quick overview of everything that you need to do to convert a lead into a final paying client. An interior design sales funnel. What is a funnel? A funnel is basically how do you get from place A to place B. You don't just have a random magic wand happening, right? There's a system, there's a funnel that actually happens. So usually the funnel that really works is A, they connect with you on your Instagram or through a referral or through Google, right? They send you a message, which is they inquire about you, or they connect on a call with you sometimes. 3 is you do a qualification to ensure that they are the right fit as well as you are a right fit for them. Then you have a discovery call to understand their needs, their problems, their site situations, everything. Then is you have where you show a recommendation of which of your service would be right fit for them. So the offer ladder which we worked on, understanding their needs, you have to understand which is the recommended offer from those 3 to 4 offer ladders which you have created. Then you send a proposal, follow up with the client, and then you onboard the client. Of course, you close the client, onboard the client, and then your project begins. So this is the entire basic funnel, right? Now let's understand step by step exactly how this works. So usually when a client reaches you, it's known as a step 1 lead inquiry. How many of you guys have heard messages like, "Hi, I need my new home. Can you please share the charges?" Or "I'm interested in designing my 2 BHK. What are the charges for the same?" Right? And how many of you be like, oh my God, what do I send her? I don't have any information about this person. Or you just make up a random price and you send it. Please don't do that. Do not send the pricing yet. Send it, but later. First, there are a couple of things you need to understand before you do that, right? So, first thing first is to send them an initial qualifying message. This helps you understand if the basic information that they are sharing with you is fitting with you or not. The people who did not respond to this message were anyways fishing, so they were of no good a lead, right? So this actually helps to remove out all the people who are just fishing in the market talking to multiple designers. Now let me tell you how, right? Certain questions which are very important. You will send out a message saying, "Hi, your name. Thank you for reaching out. Please tell me a little bit more about your project." And then these are the details they need to fill: the location, the type of property, the size. Like in the entire property, are they looking at designing a part of it or the entire part? And most importantly, when are they planning to start? If they're planning to start 1 year later, are you really going to waste your time now? I'm not saying to let them go, but you will basically be like, okay, noted, I've noted your information. Let's connect closer to the start of your interior design project, right? And the biggest thing is if you ask them to send their layout, most of the people who are really serious to design a space, they already have a builder layout with them. You know that once they filled out this form, trust me, you have filtered a good amount of people who are fishing around. So send this message to them and let them simply reply in one word. They don't need to write paragraphs. They can literally write location, the city name, like villa, 2 BHK, 3 BHK, 2000 square feet, whatever. Just two lines also is enough, right? But once they answer these questions for you is when you actually move on to the next step. So quick example, they will be like Ahmedabad, 2 BHK apartment, 1200 square feet, entire home, possession next month. So now this is a qualified lead because you know the size, you know, and assuming they've also sent a layout image with this, right? Because they're starting next month, it's a good amount of time you have to actually do the designing, right? To do the question answers to understand them better. So this is the first step is to actually once they inquire from you to send out a qualification message, not send the price regardless if they have asked you for can you share your charges. Step two. Step two is all about qualifying the lead even further. Next step, right? Because today, if you're getting them onto a discovery call, you don't want to spend 20-30 minutes with anyone and everyone. There has to be a basic understanding of if this is the right client for you, right? And what happens is when you connect on a call, if you ask the client, what is your budget? Gone. The client has almost like lost its thing and it's gone. So actually asking the question, what's your budget, is one of the fastest ways to lose a client, literally. So don't do that. But at the same time, I understand how important it is to know the budget, right? So how you can do that is in several different ways. So instead of asking questions like, what is your budget? Ask other questions like, have you done any research on interior costs so far? Or are you looking for a basic setup, mid-range setup, premium setup? So usually the answers which you get from the clients are like, I'm starting from zero, or I am comparing some quotes with people. Or if you're asking about the stage of what level they wanted, usually they're like, I wanted around this range, top, middle. It's an easier way to answer. Sometimes if you're trying to understand the scope, a question you can ask is, so which spaces are you planning to design? Are you planning to design entire house, kitchen, bedroom, just furniture? So when you give them options, it's easier for them to answer rather than just tell me your scope. So you can inculcate all of this in your initial message as well. For priority, right? Now you need to understand what their priority is. Like, for example, you can ask them what matters most to you: storage, functionality, luxury look, etc. Right? So once you understand their priority, when you will do your sales pitch and you will actually give the pricing, you will use all the information that the client has given you in the first call to pitch, right? So we'll understand how to do the discovery call. But just remember that in the initial stage of the call, never give the price, but in fact, use the time to understand more about your client requirement. And instead of just asking them, what is your style? What is your budget? Just throwing it at them, give them options wherever you can so that it's easier for them to choose and pick, right? Like when you feel overwhelmed, I'll be like, okay, what is wrong with you? You're like, there's so many things wrong with me, I don't know. But if I tell you what is wrong with you, is it this, or this? It's easier to choose the option, right? Similarly, it goes with when you're talking to the client. Now, a lot of the times when you hear the word budget, the client runs away, right? So replace the word budget with investment range. So, for example, let's say you're talking to Priya, who's just got a 2 BHK house. So you can be like, for your home interiors, have you kept aside an investment range you'd like to stay within? So remember, see, I'm saying investment range. I'm not asking for a specific budget number. So it could be like this range or this range, mid range, low range, high range, right? So even after you ask this, a lot of the times the client will be like, no, I don't know yet, right? It's very common, even after you do this. So then how you respond is, that's completely normal. You make them feel like what they've said is normal. They're not weird. You're associating with them. Then the second part, which you say is, you will mention that based on your offer ladder, which we already did, right, previously, you roughly know what a 2 BHK costs in your system with your deliverables. So you will be like, most of my previous clients who have done similar 2 BHK houses, their investment range has been X and X. This is just an example. Do it as per whatever you have calculated, right? But of course, that depends on the scope, etc. So, is this something around this range that's working for you? So then the client will either say yes or no. So we'll come to the objections end of the session, but this is a quick overview on how to not talk about the cost in the first few minutes, but just to understand a basic range of if this is even worth your time to come on a call or not. And for this, you basically need something that is known as a range statement, like your price range statement. And this price range statement is something you will get based on your previous clients. And if you don't have previous clients, then you can understand with the market rate and the offer ladder, which we already worked on. So you will have an idea that roughly for a 2 BHK, this will be the cost, right? So when you talk to the client, you need to have this one statement which you can say without being scared, without being like, oh my god, what do I say, right? So we will be doing a practice call in the next session where I'll actually make you understand how to talk like with the proper call. But this is a basic understanding of everything you should know before you actually get them onto a call. When a client messages you, do not first thing is give the price, because when you give the price, the reason why I say not to give the price first is they will start comparing you to the 10 other designers that they are already talking to, right? Today, when they're designing a house, office, hotel, anything, right? They are going to be spending lakhs of money. When you're not removing 10,000 rupees, 20,000, you're removing lakhs of money, right? You do not even know this person. You have just met this person online, or you've just got to know this person through somebody. How today would you be comfortable? Forget as a client, today as a designer, will you be comfortable to give lakhs of rupees to a random person you just got to know? No, right? You need to build that trust. So, because these are such large amounts, taking at such an initial stage, it's really important to not just give a cost, because then they compare you to every other designer. Whereas you know you are a good designer and you are going to give a lot more services than any other designer out here, right? You are not only going to give 2Ds, you are not only going to give 3Ds, you are going to be giving a whole final look, something that makes them feel comfortable, something that makes them want to come home to every single day, correct? So that is the reason why I always say do not just give the cost, but instead shift the entire conversation to about them. Okay, let me understand your needs. Let me understand your styling. Let me understand that. So once you get them on the discovery call, is I'm going to show you this really cool method which I use.
Just directly ask you like, I have a 2 BHK and what is how much like आप कितने में कर दोगे types,
I get
like
that
what is it?
till
Yeah.
today. Till today. Yesterday I got three of them. It's
Yeah.
normal. But that's
Hmm.
the thing, they will ask. because that's what the norm is. The norm is that today, let me find out the cost. If I can't deal with, if this designer is not in my budget, forget it. I don't even want to have the rest of the conversation, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah, and then they expect very low budgets, 5 lakhs for 2 BHK and all that.
right?
And then of course then you don't want to do it.
Exactly. So what happens with this system is it not only protects you to get away from the people who are low budget, which is anyways, come on, I know most of you all are really good designers. I've seen basic about of your work, right? So why should you go with low budget clients? And you think the slight mid-range and high budget clients are really gonna say no to you if your work is good and if you can deliver what you can? So it is a very human tendency. Today, think of it. Remove designer, remove client out of the way. Today, when you are buying a product or you are buying a service as a human being, of course, price matters. So you will look at it. And second thing, of course, you will look at two, three other places to make sure you're making the right decision. Correct? Human behavior. You can't change that.
Yeah.
So you have to use this to your advantage. If you already know that human psychology is such that it is going to ask you about the price at some point, and it is going to compare you to two, three other services similar to yours, you charges. But as a designer, as a business owner who wants to make profit, it is your duty to understand how to shift the conversation into more about what is your problem, what do you feel, and then give the cost at the end. And this discovery call entire pitch, which I'll show you now, is going to explain you that. When the client reaches out to you, you send them that initial message, right?
Hmm.
And that initial message is something you can make on your own based on those questions which I showed you in the document. If you see that there is an investment range, asking a range is fine. But telling them that what is your budget, asking questions like, okay, this is my cost, is going to make them like they're going to
Yeah.
disappear.
Yeah, that's what happens actually.
Plus, second thing is when you text them on an amount versus you having a call with them with the amount is very different. An online call or you can meet in person, that's completely dependent on how much time you have, how much energy you want to give. For me, I used to prefer doing a call first before actually meeting the person, because today, right, like if I have, I'm just giving you an example. Today if I have 20 calls coming in, it's not humanly possible for me to go
Of
and meet
course.
20 people, right? So it fully depends on a how many leads you have, how much time you want to give into this. But the idea is the same, that qualify them before you actually like put in more effort. Because a lot of these people, what they do is, because of these low time designers, right, who don't have knowledge, they give them a lot of the things free. They'll give them 3D free, 2D free, and then they'll be like, now they disappeared. But you cannot do the wrong thing because the low end designers don't know the right way of doing it. Today, I am at a level probably more than a complete new designer, right? But because a new designer is doing that wrong method, that doesn't mean
Yeah.
I stop giving free 3Ds and free 2Ds just to get the project.
Should just
How to get them onto a call list. So first question is, should you charge them or should you not charge them? So if you're a new designer, I would say don't charge them yet because you're still very, very new in the market. So maybe the first few calls you can do a free discovery call, but make sure that it is not going on for hours and hours, right? Make sure it's like 20 to 30 minutes max per person, per lead, right? This will also get you more comfortable on how to talk. But let's say you're consistently getting leads, then of course your time is valuable and you should charge them. You can charge anything from like 1,000 all the way to 10,000. This is a good range. A sweet spot usually is 3,000 or 5,000. Most designers usually charge this. But depending on how experienced you are, how many leads you're getting, you can decide this for yourself, right? Now, to get them onto a discovery call, right? Again, you should understand a little bit about them so that it's not that they come on a discovery call and you're like, you know nothing about this person, right? So before you get them onto the call, you should send them this message saying, thank you for sharing your above details. That is message first, right? So for those who are asking that, when they're saying that what should be the cost, you can be like, hey, thank you for reaching out. Before I do share the cost with you, I would love to understand a little more about your project so that I can give you the commercials based specifically for your needs, right? This is one simple way that how you can send, and then send them these messages, right? Now let's assume that they have replied with one of these. The next message which you need to send to them is this, the discovery call booking message, right? Now, how you should do this, you should be like, thank you for sharing the above. Based on your requirements, I would love to do a short discovery consultation call with you. But before we move on to the next steps, I would need to understand a little more. So, I will also tell them that during the call, what is it that they should expect? Now, how this changes is when you tell somebody before they're coming on the call what you're going to be discussing, it shows that you're professional, it shows that you're systematic, it shows that you know exactly what you're doing, and it also shows that you are concerned about them by asking everything, all these questions are about them. Now, what are these questions? You are going to ask, what are your requirements? What are your lifestyle needs? Because today you don't want to just know that, okay, do you want to get a 2 BHK done or a 3 BHK done? You want to know how many kids do you have in the house? What are your hobbies? What color do you like? Do you travel a lot? Do you have guests coming in? You have an entire questionnaire which you should send out, right? Which you should discuss on the call if need be. So you are going to tell them that we are going to be discussing all of this. Your design goals. Are you looking at designing for the next maybe 10 years? Like if your kids are going to get married, are you planning from that? What is an approximate investment range? Again, I'm not asking what is the budget, but we are just going to be discussing an investment range. So in case when you have sent out this message to them in the beginning, if you see over here, I have not mentioned anything about the range, about the money. I have written approximate size, I have written property, I have written all of this, but I have not mentioned anything about the price. The price is going to be discussed on the call because, like I said, on a text message, people can misunderstand. They can, your tone is different on a text. They might just compare you to other designers blindly. Always having the price conversation on a call is always like suggested, right? So in this investment range, you are not going to give them a cost before, but you're going to discuss the investment range on the call. And most important, the next steps, which we'll come to a little later. But this is the most important because a lot of the times after you come on the discovery call, you will just be like, okay, it's done. Like now it's over. No. How you end the discovery call with the next steps will put you aside from every other designer getting another client on a discovery call. Secondly, after you send this, you need to send them a Calendly link. Now, instead of messaging, oh, what time are you free? Okay, are you free at this time? Okay, tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Oh, no, I'm free tomorrow at this time. No, that's very unprofessional. Please, it takes 2 minutes. Go to Calendly, make an account. It's completely free. Put that link over here. It looks so much more professional. In that Calendly link, already sort out what your availability is. Now, if it shows that you are available from Monday to Friday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., I'm just giving an example. Supposing it shows that this Calendly link, when sent to the client, they will get to choose a slot only between the timing that you have chosen that you are available. So, what happens is instead of the back and forth, when are you free, when are you free, this is a much more professional way, right? Second thing is if they have already told you that they have a 2 BHK, send them a portfolio link which specifically has more of 2 BHK designs, or you can send a general portfolio link or a website link. That's also okay. But sending something more customized towards what they are looking for shows the effort you are putting in. If you don't want to do that, you can simply just send an entire total Google Drive link with all your projects or a website link which has all your residential projects. It's fine. But send this without them even asking. It just looks more professional. It looks like you know what you're talking about. So simply send them this message. Once they've booked the Calendly link, be ready for the discovery call because step 4 is exactly that. Now tell me something. When you go to a doctor, do you just tell him, give me your medicine? Can he just randomly give you a medicine? The same way, can you just randomly give a cost to somebody without actually knowing what is their problem? What do they want to solve? No, right? So same way how the doctor understands your problem, understands how long you've been going through something, what is the timeline to cure it, everything, then he will give you the prescription and the medicines. I want you to apply the same logic for your clients. This discovery call is not for selling. It is not. Yes, by the end of the discovery call, you will get the client most likely. But the objective of the discovery call is not to sell. It is not to be like, oh, defending your price. Is it too much? Is it too little? The discovery call is also not to talk about you as a designer. It has nothing to do with that. The discovery call is all about the client, the potential lead that is reaching out to you. So, believe it or not, listening is such an important part. How many of you guys connect on a call and be like, hi, I'm so and so, I design blah, 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 blah. I've been doing this for so many years. I have so many projects. I will. No, ask the client first. Ask the client. You can give a 1 second introduction that, hi, I'm so and so, and I've been doing this for X years. That's it. Nobody wants to hear your life story. They have already seen your Instagram profile. They have already asked. Let them ask questions. If they ask you questions, answer it. But don't start the discovery call with a whole brief and resume of yourself. This discovery call is to listen to them. Imagine if you go to your therapist and the therapist starts telling you, I've been doing this for 2 years, I have solved so many problems, I have done this, I have done this. Versus if your therapist be like, yes, tell me what your problem is. And you get half an hour to just vent out, to just speak. Isn't that what you would want? That's what the client also wants. The client wants you to listen to them. The client wants you to understand their problem. And then after understanding the problem, trying to diagnose what is the actual main core issue. For example, if they say the problem is the budget, is it really the budget? Deep down, what is the problem? Is the problem that they've worked with other designers in the past and they have trust issues now because the designer messed up? What is the deep issue? The deep issue is never the price. The deep issue is never like just the money is too much. The deep issue is because of some experience they've had in the past or some belief they've had based on what they've heard, right? So to understand that core belief is very important. Once you diagnose what the deep issue is, your sales pitch or the end conversation should be all about how you are guiding them, how you are going to fix their problem. You are going to be the therapist for your client. Simply, that is what a discovery call is, right? Now, some of the red flags to watch out for. There are some people who just want the code without even discussing the project. So, as a designer, it is your role to change the conversation and bring them to a value and to a I want to understand you. If they are still hell bent that no, I only want a code after you've explained them this entire process, maybe it's best not to work with such people. Maybe it's not someone you want to reach out to at all, right? Second thing is the ones who refuse to come on a discovery call, they'll be like, no, let's just chat, let's just talk on message. You're not going to have a good relationship with this person by the end of this project. Can you imagine everything has to be done on text and they're not even going to meet you once? That's a big red flag. Or if they're just like, no, I'm not really interested now, I'm just comparing prices, they're just fishing around. They're really not worth your time. Or if they have unrealistic timelines, like, oh, I want to design a 6 BHK in a month, not possible. Don't even take this up on you, right? Then, like, you can go through these. These are some of the red flags which you should definitely like avoid. It's actually a big red flag because the people who are just saying I'm comparing other codes, they're not valuing you as a designer, right? So first, it's important for you to explain. See, if you have not done the first part, if you have not nicely sent them a message saying that yes, I would love to give you a code, this part, I would love to give you a code, but just to make sure that I don't just give you a random code for anyone and everyone, but I can customize the code specifically for your needs. I would love to understand more about your project. So can you quickly just give me this quick information? If you have not sent out this nice message to them, if you have not after that followed up with them saying that okay, great, thank you for the information, now let's connect on a call to understand all of this, give your project, give them all of this. If you have not done your part, then you cannot complain that the clients are doing this. But after you have done your part and they are still doing all of this, then probably they're not even the right fit for you for the long term. These are people you should not even consider wanting to interact with after you have done all of this, Before you have done all of this, so that 90% of the world is only like this. You know what line of work they are in. Like supposing if somebody is someone who sells, maybe your client is someone who sells shoes. I don't know, I'm just giving a random example. You'll be like, so if a client comes to you, do you just tell them that the shoe price is this much, or do you first understand that what kind of shoes they want, what are the colors they want, what is the range they want, and then you suggest a shoe to them, right? You give them a basic understanding based on them. But it's really hard to do this over a text. That is why to have this conversation over a call is very important. Because today people understand when you give them a comparison based on their existing. Like if today I'll be like, no, I can't give you a cost, it can also sound rude. So how you send that message, the words you use make all the difference. So put it in a way more of not like I don't want to give you a cost, but more about you are a special client. I want to make sure that what I give to you is specifically based on your specific requirements, not just randomly which I send to anyone and everyone. That should be the tone of your message. And today, when somebody is told that they're special and then you're going to make a customized code for them, they will look at you differently. And trust me, this is tried and tested with the number of messages I have got. Sometimes it's even two lines, 2 BHK cost question mark, like two words. I have literally got messages like that sometimes. 2 BHK cost question mark. And I have converted those kind of people too into projects. So trust me, getting messages like this is very, very, very common, sadly, in our field. But how you convert it from the cost conversation to the I am interested in getting to know you, to the let's come on a discovery call to understand about you, your goals, your partner goals, your family goals, your design goals, and then convincing them, it's an entire game changer. Try it once and then try it twice and then tell me if it's the same. Guarantee you it is not going to be the same. And then when you come on this discovery call, it's not about you selling your entire thing. It's not about you telling them the offer ladder yet. That comes, but that comes later. The first 15 minutes of the call should only be about what is their problem. Just let them talk. People love talking. Be like, hi, I'm so and so. Introduce yourself for like 1 minute, not even 1 minute, 30 seconds. And then be like, oh, so can you tell me a little bit more about your space? And then they'll go on blah, 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 blah. For like 10 minutes, they'll go on only. You won't even have to stop them. Just attentively listen because all the problems which they tell you in this call will be the exact way how you are going to solve it in your sales pitch later. And after doing all of this, when there are certain things that they say, like all of this, if they tell you, even after you have shared all of that, after you've come onto the call, and they don't agree to come on a call, like don't even consider them as a lead then. It's pointless. Because if this is how they're behaving now, this is how they're going to behave for the rest of your project. And as much as it's important for the client to choose you, is important for you to choose who is the right client for you as well. It's okay to be a little picky because when you get one good client, it's a domino effect. You get one good client, you start getting multiple good clients. You get one bad client, and unfortunately, you get multiple bad clients too. So it's how you set your standards, how you communicate. Most importantly, now there are so many ways you can communicate about how you're giving a cost. If you just say, no, I'm not going to give you a cost, that's rude. That's wrong on your part. But if you're putting it in a way that, yes, I will give you a cost, I will give you a customized special cost for you. But before I give you a cost, please share a little more about you, right? Taking that 15-20 minutes to get them onto a call, it shows how interested you are as well, right? So the most common objections which you hear is your fees are too high, right? Or the discovery calls feel very awkward sometimes, or we need to think about it. We're speaking to other designers. Can you reduce the price? Can you send the proposal first? We're not ready yet. So by the end of the session, I'm going to tell you exactly what to say to these common objections so that if they say it, you're already expecting it. But imagine now when you're hearing this, You know exactly what to say to them so that this is not a problem for you, but actually, this information actually helps you to convert them. Do you want to know about this? Like how your objections can actually help you to convert the client, not stop you from converting them into a client, right? So let me explain to you more in detail about this. So the first 5 to 15 minutes of the call, literally depending on how long your calls are, but the first few minutes of the call is nothing but to build a rapport. Now you must be wondering, but why? I have enough friends, I have enough people I know. Yes, but to understand today, when you are talking to your friend versus if you are talking to a random stranger, who are you more likely to believe, to listen to have authority towards, right? Will you listen to your best friend or will you listen to somebody you just met 5 minutes back? Right? So, because you're meeting this person for the first time, it's very important to have a very casual conversation. Just something like, "Hi, thank you for taking out the time. Can you tell me a little bit about your home? How long have you had it? What made you reach out now?" So, these are very basic conversations just to understand that who your client is, what is their need, what is their requirement. Simple. That's all that it is. So the first 10 minutes, don't give your pitches, don't give your who you are, how many years you worked, how many projects you've done, how many whatever. Just ask about them and keep quiet and just listen. If possible, if you're doing this on a Zoom call, I highly recommend to record it. Because what happens is when you record it, through these new tools of AI and all, it can actually summarize stuff for you, right? Secondly, you can always look back at the call and be like, what did you do wrong? What did you do right? And improve on it as you go on. It helps in multiple ways. But first 5 to 10 minutes, just keep quiet. Ask them one question and then just keep quiet and let them do all the talking. After that, I'm going to tell you a method which is basically selling without selling. So I recently learned this and I thought I would share it with you guys because it's really working for me really well. Through this process, I had this client who reached out to me on Instagram, heard my cost, said, "I really want to work with you." And then she said, "I can't afford you." She said no to the project. I used this system. Next day, I got a message saying, "I want to work with you." I got the advance and the project started. So, from saying a no, she has said yes. Imagine. After saying, "No, we cannot afford you, but I will look up for you for the next project." Next day, I didn't message her, I didn't call her after I sent her this thing which I'm going to teach you. And she said a yes. So, this is really magical. So this system is known as a CBQT framework. So if you talk to anybody who's into sales, they are very familiar with this. But if you talk to designers like us, we do not know anything about this. But I found out about this really recently and I have already started using it and it's working like magic. And let me explain to you. There are four things to this, right? CBQT. C stands for current situation, the current situation in which the client is, where they are as of today, without your services, without anything. Where are they at this moment, right? B is bottleneck. What is the core issue that is actually stopping them from considering your services, from considering getting their space designed? Q is to actually understand the core pain. The pain is never the cost, but what is the reason behind the cost? Like the bottleneck could be that the cost is too high, but the pain could be the cost is high because of designers usually charge too much, designers cheat on the project, my last designer messed up, my blah blah blah, multiple reasons. My mother told me she had this experience with this designer. It's the actual pain, their belief, their limiting belief, what they have heard from other people. That is the actual pain problem. And T is the transformation. What does their life look after you have come into the picture, after you have solved their core problem, right? Now, I'm pretty sure none of you guys are doing this on your call, on the discovery call, but start doing this. I'm not saying you will hear about this in theory and tomorrow you will become the best salesperson. No, this comes with practice. And we're going to do a proper live session next in the next session where we'll actually play along with this. But start practicing it with your friends. Start practicing it with the people you talk to every day, right? So did you understand the basic understanding? CBQT. C is to understand the current situation. B is to understand what is the basic problem that is stopping them. Q is to understand the main pain behind that reason that is stopping them. And T is to give them a transformation on what they're going to, like a FOMO, that what their life is going to be with you and without you. That is the basic understanding of this, which you're going to use in your discovery call. And the main golden rule is stop talking, start listening. Let the client speak for at least 70% of the time in the call. If it is happening the other way, where you are talking more and the client is just listening, it's already wrong. First thing is fix that. This is the simple golden rule. People love being heard. The fact that you have heard them already gives them the understanding that, wow, this person listens. This person is one of the biggest compliments which I have repeatedly got from most of my repeating clients is you actually listen to us. You actually do the things as per what we finally want. Like when we look at the final outcome, it's what we wanted. But do you think that would have been possible if I didn't understand the client, if I didn't listen to the client? Literally, this is the most common compliment I have got from most of my clients. And this doesn't take any magic, this just takes listening, right? So, now, first thing you're going to ask them is understand their current situation. What do you mean by that? You're going to ask them, like, hey, how are you? Can you tell me a little bit about your home? Can you tell me why did you reach out to me now? Because that kind of brings out like urgency. Like instead of just saying that, uh, if they why do they want to reach out to you now? That will remind them that how urgent it is for them to get this space designed. Then you're going to ask them that how long have you been thinking about doing it, like designing your space? Because a lot of the clients, they've bought their space and they've been finding people for like 3-4 months and they're just wasting time, right? So this will remind them that, oh, I've been wasting a lot of time, I need to close down on a designer. Then you can ask them questions like, what's happening currently, like what is your scenario like? Trust me, when you ask these questions, the client will keep talking for a few minutes. After you've asked this question, just be quiet. Be quiet for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long the client takes to answer these questions. Either make note of it, like through paper, pen, notepad, if you're like physically standing with them and like talking to them. If you're on a video call, please record the meeting. It will summarize most of your conversations and do all the work for you, right? The client will tell you, oh, I have this and my husband is not doing this and now we bought this 2 bhk and now we don't know where to get the furniture. These lights are so expensive, I don't know if I should use white light, yellow light. I think I should start. I've been thinking about this since almost 2 months now. I still haven't come to a conclusion. You will hear things like this. Just let them talk. Right now, your thing is just to listen. It's not to solve anything. Just listen. Okay, by the end of this has told you that they are looking to design a 2 bhk. 6 months ago they were planning to do it themselves, but now they realize it's too overwhelming. When the client tells you all of this information in the 15 minutes, there is so much more you know about the client, minus the fact that they want to do a 2 bhk. You know that they've been doing this for 6 months, which means that they are exhausted and tired of trying to find the right person. You know that they have tried to do it on their own. So they know the complications and they know the benefits that if they hire a designer, they will not have to go through these tedious processes. You know that they are overwhelmed. So it is your role later to tell them that by hiring you, this entire process is going to be super simple because you are going to take all the headache on your head. Do you understand that by what these 2 lines of what the client has told me, I already know how to calm the client down, how to say the right words to what they want to hear, right? So that is how the C, the current situation, helps you. Next thing is B, bottleneck. Now, this actually helps to understand what is stopping them on the surface level, right? So you can be like, ask them questions like, so what is the most frustrating part so far in this entire process for you? Or what is feeling really difficult for you? If nothing changes, what is going to worry you the most? If you ask them these kind of questions, they're going to go even deeper. Oh, it's so frustrating. My husband just doesn't have the time, and like we're not coming to one single decision. It's so difficult right now because the prices of the materials keep changing. I don't know where to buy the materials from. Or like there's so many situations you will hear the client say all of this, right? So an example for this is we don't know what materials to choose. My husband and I disagree on everything, which is very common. We don't want to make an expensive mistake. So these are the main surface level problems they are facing. Now again, you are just listening. You will ask them one, two questions, and then you will just listen. Now, if the client has told you all of this, they don't know where what materials to choose. You already know. This is why you are going to come in later. You are going to tell them the right ways on how to choose the material. Because as a designer, you very well know this. If you know that the client, the husband, and they don't get along, you are going to come up with a solution on how there's going to be a one person contact, right? So that these disagreements don't happen. When they say we don't want to make an expensive mistake, you know that with your expertise, you already know who are the right vendors. You already know the right processes so the client doesn't have to make mistakes. You're going to save them from making these expensive mistakes. And then when you further on ask them, the real problem is not material, it's the confusion, it's the fear of getting it wrong. If you really, really go deep and think, do you really think the material is the problem? It is to a certain extent, but the deep problem is the confused state of mind. The fear of, oh my God, if I put this material, what if it looks too much for this space? Right? That's why you come in when you share the 3Ds, when you share your expertise. Are you guys getting it? And then is Q, to go deeper into the surface level problem with the core problem where their emotions are connected. So now that you know that the material is the problem to choose as per them, you're going to go further more into the emotions. Ask them questions like, oh, so how is this affecting you day to day? Or what happens if you're going to continue to do this process for 6 months without hiring a designer? Or how often do you find yourself thinking about this? How important is this to get this right? Now, the question has gone deeper, right? They're going to give you answers like, honestly, we're already so stressed, we're delayed in moving, we keep arguing about decisions, we're scared of spending money and regretting it. So, do you understand now how much information you have got from the client? And this is not information about which color they like. That is important, but do you understand how much deeper you have understood the client? Yeah. So once you know all of this information, you've literally become a therapist, right, to this client. Once you know all of this information, the next part is the transformation. Now you know the problem. Now you paint the future for them. That yes, I am the solution to your problem. You don't say it like that, but you basically behave like you have given them the magic wand. So you ask them questions like, if you could put a magic wand and solve all of this, what would your ideal home look like? What is this feeling you want to have when you're entering this space? Right? Ask them these kind of questions. Then they'll answer your questions with things like, I want to walk in and feel relaxed. I want to make sure everything is organized. I want to come home to and literally feel like, wow. Right? Now, by hearing this, what is it the thing that you have realized? She isn't buying interiors. She isn't buying drawings. She isn't buying renders. She is buying peace of mind, confidence, a stress free, beautiful home. And using all of this information is what how you are going to make your proposal. You are going to use all her pain points, all the information you have got to put inside your proposal. Your proposal is not going to be the deliverables alone. Yes, the deliverables are important, but it will not only be 2D, 3D elevations, blah, blah, blah. It will be a lot about everything you have heard, right? Now, again, after you get this transformation, don't just pitch. Don't just pitch and be like, okay, very good, I've heard everything. Now this is going to be the cost. No, it's very important to do this part. Summarize everything you have just heard. Now, what happens when you summarize? When you summarize everything you've just heard, the client feels heard. The client has got a full, like, okay, she has understood me fully, right? Second thing, after you've summarized it, ask them for permission. So, how you can ask them, like, let me give you an example. So, what you will say is, based on everything you've shared, I think the biggest challenge isn't actually designing the space, it's having a clear plan. It's making the right decision to avoid costly mistakes. Would it be okay if I share how I would approach this project? Does that sound good to you? Don't say, would you like to sign now? Would you like to make an advance now? No, just go step by step. It's a process, right? It's a simple process. First, you ask them the current situation. First, you understand the current situation, then you understand the surface level problem, then you understand deep down the problem, and then you give them a futuristic view on what they want. After you have heard all of this, you summarize everything you have heard, and then you ask them the permission that can I explain to you how I would take go ahead with this project now? Because this single question of asking the permission instead of just randomly pitching is what makes you different from every other designer who sounds like a salesperson. You know, those salespeople who call you up on the phone and they're like, oh, ma'am, do you want to buy this item? You sound like that if you don't do this. So change the way you sell to them. The entire presentation of the discovery call should not be only against your service list, against your offer ladder. It should be against the pain. After you have explained the understood the pain and given them, then afterwards explain the deliverables. But first tell them that how you're going to cause them like relief to their problem, how you're going to be the solution to their problem, right? So after you come on this call, don't just be like, okay, now my design package is 1.5 lakh, let's go ahead make the advance. You've lost the project again. Instead, use like, okay, so to help you create a home that's functional, organized, easy to maintain, while removing the stress of making all of these decisions yourself, I will recommend, and then from the multiple design packages that you have, those three offer ladders, I would recommend X. And if you remember in your design package, you have mentioned exactly what is coming in deliverables as well as the client journey. Run this, let them speak. After you have given them the statement, let them speak. Don't worry, they're going to still have objections, and we're going to get to that later. But let them speak, right? Some of the emotional triggers which really affects, which will really help them, right? Is like, for example, if the client says, we have bought a new apartment, but just don't know where to start. So you ask them, oh, so what's been the most frustrating part? The client replies, choosing materials, everyone's giving different advice. Then you ask them, okay, so if this continues like this for 6 months, what happens? Then they further dive in. We're getting delayed in moving in, the timeline is increasing, we're already so stressed. Then you give them the future, the transformation. So if you could solve all of this, how would your ideal home look like? It look organized, premium, easy to maintain. And that's exactly what they are buying. They are buying your solution to solve their problem.
Yeah.
Today when you're bonding with a client, right? When you're designing a space, what is it? It's a 3 month, 4 month down relationship, right?
Yeah.
At the end of it, right? And how you start your relationship with your client is how it's going to be for the rest of the entire 3 months, 4 months. If you see in this whole conversation till now, I have not mentioned mood board, I have not mentioned elevations, I have not mentioned anything in this entire conversation so far. I'm
Hmm.
not saying that's not important, that is coming.
Yeah.
But till like 15 minutes of the call, I have not brought it up at all. Because when you bring that up in the first 15 minutes is when they start comparing you to other designers, is when they compare you with the pricing. Even if you've not mentioned the pricing, even if you've just mentioned I do 2 BHK, 3 BHK, blah blah blah, this 2D, 3D, blah blah blah, the mind, it's human, you can't change the mind. It automatically starts comparing you. Now, after you have done this part of the conversation, how is the client supposed to compare you to even 10 other designers? On what criteria do they compare you? On emotions? No, they can't. This whole discovery call is about taking control of the call with talking minimum. Like that
Yes.
is the golden rule of a successful discovery call. Talking minimum, but still having maximum control. This entire conversation, the client is talking 70% if it's a successful discovery call. But you exactly know what you are saying first, what you are saying second, what you are saying third. Control doesn't mean talking the whole time. Control means you know the process of what you're saying first and what you're saying last. If the client asks, but what is going to be the scope of work, don't deny them. Never deny the client, never tell the client they are wrong. Simply word it that of course 2D and 3D will be part of this, but along with that, for me it's more important that you get your dream home, you get your dream space, and I will make sure that is done with all the points which they have said using the solution. Just a quick summary. Step one, journey map, which was first they get to know about you, then they show interest, you qualify them, you get them on a discovery call, you send them a proposal, you follow up, you close, and you onboard them. Right? The first step we spoke about was the lead inquiry. What is the first thing you should do is send them a qualification message. Once you're happy with this, then get them onto a discovery call after you send them this message. After you get them on the discovery call, exactly what you should say and what you shouldn't say in a discovery call. You should talk less, let them talk more, build a rapport, do this whole CBQT, understanding who they are, what situation they are, what their pain points are, provide them the solutions, and then summarize everything. This is the most important. Summarize everything you have heard. Ask them for permission that, okay, now can I show you the next steps? Can I explain to you how I would take this forward? And then you will pitch your price. When you pitch the price, also, you will not just say something like, my design package is X. You will actually explain to them that you are going to be getting XXXXS, and I recommend this package amongst the two, three which I have, right? Always remember when you are giving the cost, step five, give the initial call estimate on the call itself, right? Now, what happens is, let's say you've discussed all of this, and then the client is like, okay, so now to move ahead, what would be the next steps, right? And then you'll be like, okay, please give me some time to like give you the cost. What happens with this answer is, it kind of feels from a place where you don't know what you are doing, right? So how I recommend is, I'm not saying it has to be the exact cost. It can move up and down a little bit. But to give an approximate initial cost is very important on the call. And how do you get this cost? You remember when we did the offer ladder, you all kind of came up with three tier packages where you all were like, design only is this much, design with execution is this much, design consultation is this much. You all had worked out those three tiers, right? Now, further on in that tier, try to divide it from a 1 BHK to a 6 BHK already in your head. So be like, if they want to do design only, a 1 BHK would cost this much. If they only want to do a design only, 2 BHK roughly it would cost this much. So have that basic understanding already written down on a piece of paper with you or on your computer, anywhere saved, right? So what happens is, when this client comes on a call and they'll be like, I want to do design only for 2 BHK, you already have a rough range or a price. It doesn't have to be a specific price, it can be a range. Like you can be like, to design only, it will cost me 1L to 2L, for example. Or to do an execution, it will be 8L to 15L. And these amounts, you get it from your offer ladder you have already worked. So, do you now see that when a client comes on a call And it comes to after you have understood their pain points, discussed all of this, understood their triggers, and you finally have to give a price. One is you do not just say my price is X. You say that your price is your investment range is in this manner. So to help you create a blah blah functional home with all of your problems solved through my processes, I would recommend this design package. And this design package costs approximately this amount, right? So when you give this range, what's happening is the client and you now know basically that okay, is this going to fit in our budget or not going to fit in our budget. So usually what I recommend is show them your offer package ladder, because step 6 is to recommend the right package, right? So supposing you have three offer ladder packages, you have design consultation, only design with execution, right? Let's say you have those three packages. Show them those three packages and then tell them, so based on everything that we've discussed, I highly believe that this, whichever the package you select, is relevant for you for maximum output for what you need. And then you explain the deliverables, right? You not only mention what all things you are giving them in terms of 2D, 3D, but you remember the client journey which we had written on the second part of the table. You mention and you go through the entire process with them. So you'll be like, so based on the entire conversation we had, I understand that your biggest challenge isn't just designing the space, it's to create a clear plan, make confident decisions, avoid expensive mistakes. I would recommend this package from the packages that I have. Explain the package that in this package, these are the things I'm going to cover. And most importantly, this, of course, you will get. Most importantly, the entire client journey. In week one, we will be doing. We will do a consultation call. Week two, we will go for the selection. Week three, we will do the measurement, etc., etc. The entire client journey, the last column in your offer ladder which you have made. You will explain them the entire package, not only the deliverables, right? This, along with the client journey, along with the timeline, along with the price range. You will explain all of this, right? And before you explain the client journey, keep asking the client for permission that would it be okay if I explained how the process works? Let them respond back. Let it, this can be like a two-way conversation, this part of the discovery call, where you, after you've heard everything about them, you recommend the package by showing them all the packages, and then you'd ask them, okay, can I further explain this? And then you explain the entire journey. Week one, we will understand your problems, I'll send you a questionnaire, you fill it out. Week two, I'll come to your place, take the measurements. Week three, we'll get a more basic understanding on your design style, and blah blah blah, your entire step of process, right? And then after you do this, the question comes as to how do you close the call? I'm not saying go hard with the closing, right? First, you do a very soft close. There are two kinds of closes. First, you do a very soft close. In the soft close, you do not ask that, okay, are we going ahead? What you ask is, so how are you feeling about everything we've discussed today? This puts you away from just discussing about the price. So, for example, if they're in a positive way, they will be like, um, if they respond with something saying that, yes, I feel good, I feel like you've covered everything, then you can respond saying that, okay, would you like me to send you a proposal to get started? And if they seem very, very enthusiastic and really excited, you can also be like, okay, would you like me to walk through you the next steps as well? You can literally take them to the next step as well. So, see, this is a feeling you have to get. After you've explained all of this, simply ask them, so how are you feeling about all of this today? Let them answer. Based on their answer, choose the kind of response you want to give. If they're seeming a bit negative, if they're having objections, then you have to deal with the objections. If they're feeling positive, then you need to be like, okay, can I send you the proposal to go ahead for the next steps? If they're feeling very, very positive, like very enthusiastic, then be like, okay, so let me show you the proposal right now on the thing, and then quickly just make a quick, tell them to give you 2 minutes. You already have your proposal template ready, and you don't have to make the whole template because that will take time, but very briefly explain them, okay, what all is going to come in it, like a oral version of a proposal, and then be like, okay, I'll send you the written version of this after this call. If they seem really, really enthused. If they're not seeming very enthused, then just be like, okay, now great. Let me just send you the entire thing, what we've discussed on your proposal after this call. Right? That's the step 6. Step 7. Now, this is very important. You do not send this just anytime and anytime. You have to send this within 24 hours of the call. If you're going to send it after 48 hours, 36 hours, it kind of shows that you're a busy designer. It kind of shows that you're not very interested in the client. It kind of shows that she's not taking this seriously, right? Secondly, what happens is if you send it after a lot of time, the client gets time to let their thoughts kind of get disturbed with other people giving their opinions. Plus, they start looking for more designers because the more time you give, the more time you give them to go and search for more options, right? So by sending it within 24 hours, you look professional, you sound prompt, you kind of give them a basic idea that this is how quick your services are going to be every time you work with like you, and you're going to have less time to go around fishing around in the market. So that is why sending it within 24 hours is very, very important. Right now, you don't have to follow all of this, but this can be like a 2 page proposal, or like it could even just be a short message, whatever you're comfortable. But in this proposal, is you can give an oral description of it here, right? When they're very excited about it. But regardless if you give an oral description or not, in the written proposal, you should mention a little bit about you on the first page, a little bit about the project summary based on all the emotions, all the pain points, all the deliverables that you discussed, the client goals. And when you use the client, talk about the client goals, use their exact words. If they have used overwhelmed, use overwhelmed. If they've used organized, use organized. Use mirror the exact words. This is known as mirroring. Mirroring is when the client has used a specific word and you say it back to them. It creates a relationship where it's like, okay, the designer has heard me and they're understanding me better. It's just a psychology thing, right? So, for example, if they've mentioned better storage, write better storage. If they've mentioned less stress, write less stress. If they've written premium feel, write premium feel. Use the words the client has used to mention what the client goals are, right? The fourth one is mentioned, fourth and fifth are basically your fourth, fifth, and sixth, technically, all of these, they come into the offer ladder, right? So, from the offer ladder, whichever that one package you've recommended, show that in that package you will mention the deliverables, you will mention the timeline, and you will mention the investment amount. Again, this could be a range or this could be an amount depending on the conversation you had with the client, on the understanding of how eager this client is. You can decide that, but covering all of this is very important in the proposal. Don't only just send the summary, don't only just send the deliverable, don't only send one. Send the proposal. It could be like a short WhatsApp message, something like this, where I'll show you. But before you send the proposal message, one important thing is, supposing the proposal message takes you about an hour to make, right? So immediately, like the call has got cut, immediately after the call, send them this message. Hi, your name, whatever your name is. Thank you for your time today. It was great learning about your project. As discussed, I'll put together a proposal and send it to you within, and then whatever time you feel you can give it within 24 hours, within an hour, within by the end of the day. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, right? What happens is when you send this message immediately after the call, the client, I don't know, it just kind of creates a really good relationship with your client. It creates a bond with your client that, okay, she's so prompt, she sent me a message immediately. It's just a summary of everything you've discussed, and then within an hour, within 24 hours, you send a proposal. This could either be a small PDF, a single page PDF, or it could be a simple WhatsApp message which says, as promised, attached is your proposal, and write all of these points mentioned above here: the about us, the project summary, the client goals, the package deliverable timeline, everything. And then the most important is the next steps. Point number 8. In the next steps, You can mention, you can always add something like, please take your time to review. If you have any questions, let me know. Looking forward to hearing from you. And in the next steps, you can always add a timeline. So let me know a good time within the next 3 days that we can connect and look back into this proposal. Now, how this next step helps is, right? If you don't give the next step, you have sent the proposal, and now they can take hours, they can take days, they can take weeks to get back to you. By putting this simple one sentence in the next step, that okay, go through this in the next two, three, like supposing today is Monday. So be like, okay, so by Wednesday noon, can we connect back to discuss all of this? So what happens with this is it gives the client a basic idea that when they should get back to you by. You are also telling them that, okay, I'm giving you a day or I'm giving you 2 days, right? As and when you get more and more and more familiar with this, you can literally start closing the client within 24 hours or on the call itself. But if you are just starting out, I would say go slowly and do it like within 2 days, 3 days time and close the client. But if you don't mention this next step, the client will take forever to get back to you, right? So it's really important that after you have recommended the package, after you've already discussed the proposal, send them a written proposal, send them a message immediately after your discovery call, and then within 24 hours, send them the proposal with all these details, including the next step on when you are connecting again. Like it's not going to be fixed for everyone, right? So sometimes the conversation is about, they could be like, okay, we have a few questions, so you can be like, okay, let's connect maybe tomorrow by noon to discuss this more. Or be like, if supposing the next question is about, if they've already decided to work with you and you don't need to do any more convincing, then the next step could be like, okay, so the next step is, please make the advance payment on these bank details,
Mm.
right? It's not a fixed thing, it depends on the conversation. But assuming the client has not decided to go ahead and make the payment yet, the next step should be that when is going to be your next meeting to discuss the proposal. 2 to 3 days, don't give them more than that. If you give them a buffer of more than 2 to 3 days, they get more time to go around in the market and fish. I think that, okay, tell me tomorrow, it's also being a bit unreal. People are busy.
Yeah.
If possible, if you do the call on a Wednesday, then try to do it on a Friday or a Saturday. People are more free on the weekend. If you work on the weekends, that is. Proposal template ready. So if you have your template ready, you just have to put in the details and send it. Execution, there are two types of BOQs, right? One is the
Mm.
initial BOQ, okay?
Okay.
And second is the final BOQ. Today, until the client has not paid you, I highly recommend not making detailed BOQs because they will not come back to you and then you have just wasted two days making that BOQ. I would say is create a basic BOQ template, okay, where you can just be
Mhm.
like one BHK and then you can write bedroom, hall, kitchen, and you can just write approximate ranges. One option
Okay.
is that, right? Second option is you can do something where you just give an approximate ballpark amount for the total 1 BHK range based
Okay.
on the square feet and the percentage that we worked out in workbook 2. Then every discovery call you get, if you start making detailed BOQs for all, you will go mad. Again, how you communicate this. If you're rude and you're going to be like, no, sorry, I can't read the BOQ, it's too much of my time. First, you confirm it. They'll be like, dude, what the hell? How much ego, how much attitude, right? But if you communicate it the same way, that you know what, to create the BOQ, detailed BOQ, I'm going to have to actually design the space for you, understanding your needs. If you want to use, let's say, cane material, if you want to buy specific lights, I will make a detailed BOQ so that you know exactly what is being charged where before it gets, even before the execution starts. But at this stage, for me to do that, it will take me at least 24 to 48 hours. So for now, just to make sure that we match with the same amount, let me give you a ballpark figure. Once you have made the advance, I will give you a detailed BOQ and let's connect on X day to discuss this further. Simple. Businesses, they feel heard that okay, she's going to listen to me. B, they know the ballpark figure, so they know roughly it's going to be in this range. And three, you don't waste hours and hours on making the BOQ until you've got the
Right.
advance.
Yeah.
The first part is initial BOQ. Initial BOQ is like a square feet rate or a very
Yeah.
basic 2 3 line. thing, right? Like not a like maybe maximum
Yeah.
this much, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the initial BOQ you give. Now let's say you've got the advance. After you've got the advance, you give a detailed final BOQ quote one. That quote one is for when you are starting the project. Once you have started the project, there are going to be site conditions and changes in terms of the client is like, now I want to add an extra sofa, now I want to add an extra frame, I want to move this switchboard, I want to you know now specifically which light you're going to buy, which sofa you're going to buy, XXX. So supposing you had written sofa 50,000 and now sofa has become 80,000, an example. Or let's say you are buying two plants, now you're buying five plants. So the cost has become from 10,000 to 20,000, giving random examples, right? So as and when the goes on, you make these changes in the code. And I have a rule, everyone doesn't do this, but this is actually one of my secrets why I get maximum of my projects paid on time is I have a habit every week or every 2 weeks or every month, depending how big the project is. I update these before the payment schedule. Like, when you have a payment schedule and the client has to pay you, I update these, send it to the client. I highlight only the parts in another color which is increased. So, supposing there are 50 items, I will only highlight those four items which have increased in that specific week or in that specific month, and I send it out to the client. Until the client has not approved it, I will not take that ahead in my project. And because of this one system, the client already knows why the project is increasing, right? So you are not being like from the month one, suddenly from a 50 lakh, now you're telling them it's 60 lakh. Every week you are telling them it's increased by 10,000, it's increased by 20,000 or whatever the amounts are. So when they look at the final amount as 60 lakh by the end of 3 4 months, they already have the breakup of every month, every week that you have given them.
Yeah.
So it creates trust. If the client says, no, 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 I don't want to do this, it's too expensive, you don't include it. You remove it from your BOQ and you don't do that work. Simple.
Yeah.
But you get the confirmation from the client before you take it
And
ahead.
it's better to get a like a what written like a WhatsApp message, right? Uh,
Yeah,
approved.
yeah, document, not oral you can do, but everything document. So,
Yeah.
like if supposing you had 5 changes in this week, mention those 5 changes, mention those amounts, and then add it in your BOQ. Send the revised BOQ within that week or within that month, whatever your system is. But do not expect that today the cost is 50 lakh, and then after 3 months, 4 months down the line, you're going to be like, it's 60 lakh. The client is not going to pay you. Think of it logically. Why should they?
Yeah.
New, then don't charge. But
Yeah.
like for someone like me, like I get like let's say 10 leads a day, right? I
Mm.
don't have the time to sit and like do this. So I'm like, you better pay me for my time. So I will. I have always charged like 5,000. I think from my year two till date, I've always charged 5,000 for a basic consultation. But just to give you a basic idea, when I charge for these calls, I do give a little more as well, right? So what I normally do is I do a discovery call merged with a consultation call. But that is a very me thing. I don't know any other designer who does that. So what I do is I do a discovery call matched with a next day consultation call where basically I hear everything that they have to do and I give them a basic presentation overview of everything we've discussed. And I charge 5,000 for this service with one basic furniture layer and one presentation. That's it. Nothing more, which normally takes me like 20 minutes to do because I have everything ready.
Okay, so you give like furniture layout and all also in that.
But
Like
that's
a
after
basic.
they've paid. After they've paid the
Yeah.
consultation of 5,000, I
Okay.
just give them one furniture layout, which is not the final one. This is just to kind of understand if me and them are on the same page, and a presentation. This
Okay.
I'm talking about year two. Now, obviously, I charge even more. But in
Yeah.
this, I used to give them an addition. This is a service I included. This is not a mandatory rule. A lot of designers do not do this. But I do this because it gives more confidence to the client, and the chances of converting are much higher in my experience.
Okay.
But if you just want to do a discovery call with absolutely nothing, I would say do it up to 999 if you're just starting out, not too much, because then it won't convert if you're just starting.
Yeah.
Like in real world, like forget what theory is saying, forget what the market is saying. But in real world, if you're just starting out and you put really high prices for the discovery call, people may not show up. And the whole point of the discovery call is to convince them for the bigger project. right? And then another thing is, in the discovery call, you say that whatever amount you're paying for the discovery call will get minus from the main cost. So if your total cost was, let's say, 50,000 and the discovery call is 5,000, you will take 45,000 by the end of it. The idea of the discovery call is just so that they don't waste your time by talking for 10 hours and then you're not getting the project.
Yeah.
You send them the Calendly link. In that Calendly link, you can put a price. So
Okay.
when
Yeah.
they book the call, they have to directly pay and then the call gets booked automatically. If they don't pay, the call doesn't get booked.
Okay. 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 Yeah, that was
You can
clear.
also have free calls, free Calendly. You can also have free calls. You can also have paid calls. It depends on you.
Okay.
If you want to have paid calls, just add a price in that. Connect it connects to Razorpay. There is a system. So you just have to put the price connected to your bank account, and the money will come to you. They'll pay the money before they come onto the call itself. Now, after you send the proposal, a lot of people think that if you follow up, step 8 is follow up. A lot of designers think that if you follow up, you sound desperate. But can I tell you, a lot of the times the clients do not get back to you is not because they are rejecting you or your service. It could also be that they have something going on personally. They have gotten really busy. They are internally discussing and they are figuring it out something that within themselves with the people. So don't take this personally, firstly, right? Secondly, I feel it's very, very important to follow up, but don't follow up like a crazy person and sound desperate. How you follow up makes all the difference. Don't sound pushy, but sound professional. So, for example, let's say you've done the call today. Don't do a follow up message the next day. Leave one day. After that, day two, send them a message, something like saying hi, their name, just checking in regarding the proposal. Happy to answer any questions. So, you are not saying, hey, have you made the payment? What is it? You are simply telling them that did you get a chance to check the proposal? Do you have any questions you need clarification from? So usually they'll reply if they have any questions. Let's say they reply and they still haven't gone ahead to the next step. Day 5. Day 5 is when again you send them a message saying, hi, I was thinking about your project and just wanted to check in if you got a chance to review everything. Let me know if there's anything else you need to discuss further. Right? You can send simple reminders like this. And then again, now wait for day 10. Don't say anything between day 5 and day 10. You don't want to send daily reminders, right? Then maybe day 10, you can be like, hey, just touching base one last time. I completely understand if the timing isn't right. Whenever you're ready, I'm happy to help. And you leave it. So what happens with this is you're telling them that you are looking forward to this project. If they are busy, you're giving them the time to get back to you when they are free, and that you are waiting and ready when they want to talk. So it's not sounding pushy, but at the same time, you're sending them like a slight nudge, a slight reminder. So there is nothing wrong in following up. Yes, if you're going to follow up every single day and be like, make the payment, make the payment, make the payment, yeah, then that's annoying. I'm not telling you to do that. Professionally follow up once in a few days and you are fine. And most likely they will get back to you. And with all the process that I mentioned earlier, they will not ghost you in the first place, right? So that's step 8. Step 9 is to close, right? Now, after all of this is done, how do you finally get that money to come in? How do you close and end the deal, right? So after you've shared your proposal, after you've shared all the details, after you've done everything, it's very important that before you just be like, pay me, you summarize everything that they have discussed. You recommend the project plan which we spoke about, and you ask them exactly how they're feeling. We discussed about all of this, right? When they said that okay, they want to go ahead, you say perfect, and then you send them the proposal, you send them the agreement as well as the invoice with the proposal on this at the same time, right? So this agreement is usually a contract. A contract is different if you're doing only designing. A contract is different if you're doing design with execution. Based on your services, already create a contract template, then just add the client name, the client details, send an invoice. Normally on the call, you can ask the client in what name they want the invoice to be made, and you can just send the invoice, right? Send the invoice, send the proposal and the agreement together, right? If supposing they say something like, okay, we need to think about it, please don't start giving them discounts. Don't panic. I will explain to you the object handling, how what are the things to say when they say these, I need more time to think, your services are too expensive, I'll tell you how to deal with it, right? But do not panic, do not give them discounts, because by doing that, they're going to sense it from you. They're going to sense if you're not sure, if you're not confident. So don't do that, okay? And then also remember to end it with the next. That would it be okay if I follow up with you on X day, right? So never end with, if supposing the discovery call ends with let me know, never end with let me know. Add a slight pressure on them by asking them which day you can follow up, right? A good close doesn't pressure the client, but it gives them clarity to make the confident decision. So instead, you can say like, if supposing for the next step, right, you can be like, okay, they want to go ahead, you send them the contract, you send them the invoice payment, and you onboard them, which I'll talk about how to onboard them. If they're not sure and they're like, let me know, let me get back to you, you will do the object handling, which I'm explaining next. In the object handling, you're going to identify exactly what the problem is. Once you identify the problem, you are going to send them the next step about when you're going to discuss this entire thing again with a follow up specific date and time, right? And if they're not a fit, if you feel like their budget is just not matching with yours, the timeline is just not matching, just politely say this is not a fit from your end. You don't even have to wait from them, right? It's very important to identify after the call where the client stands. Do they sound like that they're going to go ahead a yes? Do they sound like they're still a bit unsure, or do they just not seem like a good fit for you? If they don't seem like they're sure about it, I'm going to explain to you after this step 10 about how to deal with those concerns that they come up with usually, right? And after you close, the last step, step 10, is onboarding. Now, the onboarding should usually be done within the first 7 days. Don't take days and days to do this, because what you do in the first 7 days is going to set the tone of the entire project, right? You should look professional. You should have a very professional onboarding system. For the onboarding system, these are certain documents you should send out after they have said yes to you, right? After they have made the confirmation advance payment, you should send them a nice welcome message mentioning that you have received the payment. You should send them a contract with the payment schedule in writing, not just orally. A project kickoff form is basically just to kind of give them a basic idea on how it is to work with you, what the client journey is, what the deliverables are, all the scope, all the do haves, all the things that, like, all your communication, like timings, which days you'll be available, what is the best mean to connect with you, WhatsApp, email, within 24 hours you will get back. Just all those details can come in. You should also finalize the next meeting that you're having. Like, are you going to be meeting next on site? Are you going to be doing a call again online? But all of this should be done within the first week. Like, are you going to go for the measurements? You should also put in a basic process and timeline, that in a single summary page document, that okay, in the next 1 week this is what we're going to do, and in the next 3 months, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, this is the basic idea of everything we're going to be processing for your project. So that they're not like, oh my god, now what's going to be the next step, now what's going to happen tomorrow. They should already have a basic idea of how this entire project is going to go in the next 3 months. Very, very brief, very, very basic. The timelines can change, the process can change along the way, but a basic idea is something you should send them in a single page document. Don't write paragraphs and paragraphs. And also mention which days you will be available, what are your timings. I always recommend for every client, select one day and one time throughout the week. So supposing it will be like Monday at 10 o'clock, you will do a meeting with the client, the client one, every Monday at 10 o'clock. Set a routine. This really helps when you have multiple projects. You can do this once a week or once in 2 weeks, depending on the project size and your availability. But once a week is a really good way. It keeps the client calm. And that once a week, you should give an update on the entire project. What is the next step? Everything, like communicate all the issues, everything. So this communication should all be mentioned in this document, that how you'll be updating them. Is it through WhatsApp? Is it through email? Do you have certain timings? Like I mentioned, I will not be available on Sundays. I mentioned I will not be available after 8 or 9 p.m. So just mention all of that to them, right? And create separate folders on your Google Drive, right? So that, like, one for mood boards, one for reference. Keep all of this ready so that every time you get a new client, you don't have to keep doing it again and again. Keep your templates ready so that you just have to put in the client details, put your mood boards, all of that, like your packages, all of that ready, your proposals, your kickoff forms, your all of these templates, keep it ready, right? And then most important is, don't forget to always send the milestone dates. So like I said, if you're going to have a meeting every week or every 2 weeks, roughly try to do it in the same day of the week and the same time. So the client also knows they have to be free, and you also know you have to be free. You can send them a simple welcome message with, like, if you have a welcome guide, just kind of explaining who you are as a firm, what all they need to do. You don't have to do this, you can mention about the project timeline. You can also send them a detailed questionnaire, like, so they can fill more about themselves. You can mention your communication, as I mentioned, how you'll be communicating, and also mention when you are meeting next. Don't forget this step, please, guys. If you don't write the next step, it just goes completely for a toss. So mention the date, the time, and send them this nice welcome message. Because trust me, a client who feels organized in week one will rarely question when you do something wrong, or you make a mistake, or you add costs later on, because they trust you and they believe in you. Whatever you do in the first week will really set the tone for the entire project. So please don't mess up the first week, the first 24 hours in the first week. Like, for example, let's say Rahul signed the advance on Friday. By Monday, he received a welcome message and all of these details. And later on, he literally said that it felt like you already had a system and I didn't have to chase for anything, because the trust started getting formed right then and there, right? So before I get into the object handling, which is the last part of today, can I just quickly finish the object handling and then we'll come into the questions, because this is the last part. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So objection handling. Now, what happens is, right, when clients are talking to you, it is very, very common that they're going to have issues about the price, or they're unsure if they want to work with you. It is very common. Today, even after 10 years, I still get these comments, right? I still get these comments from people. So don't think that they don't like your service or you said something wrong. No, it is their limiting belief, it is their issues that is making them feel and think about these problems. So the goal is not to kind of go against them, but is to understand them. So, for example, if a client says it's too expensive, do not say that, no, no, you like, this is my price, you go with it or you don't go with it. Don't be rude. Firstly is understand. Say, I understand. Make them sound like it's normal, it's okay to feel that you find this expensive, right? Then ask them questions. Can I ask, it's expensive to what? The game is to always put the game in their court by asking questions, not by answering, by asking questions. So first you have to be like, okay, I understand, it's normal, it's okay to feel like this. Second part, can I ask, what exactly are you finding it expensive? Like, what are you comparing this to that you're finding this expensive? Is it another designer's coat? Or is it because you're comparing it when you're doing it yourself? So now when you ask them this question, they will either say, yeah, I got another coat from a designer, blah, blah, blah. Or they'll be like, no, when I went to the market and I saw these costs, it was turning out to be cheaper. So, like, I feel like this is too expensive, right? These are the two, three things that they will tell you. Then there are going to be follow-up questions to this, which we will do in the call next week. But just to give you a basic idea, that if they say it's too expensive, stop trying to discount, stop trying to reduce the fee. Instead, sympathize and understand where they are. Tell them it is okay to feel like this, and further ask them more questions to get more details as to what they mean when they say it's too expensive. Are you comparing it to another designer? Are you finding it expensive because you saw some sofas at a lower price than the cost I'm giving you? What is the main problem, right? When they say let me think about it, don't say no, tell me now. Say of course, take the time you need. But there's always a but, and there's always a question after you. So first is sympathize and then is ask a question. Same pattern. So of course, take your time. Then what's the one thing that would help you feel confident to help me make this decision for you? To help you make this decision for you, sorry. Right? So remember, whenever someone says an objection, it's too expensive, let me think about it. Say, okay, I understand. Of course, take your time. But what is the one thing that I can tell you right now that is going to help you make this decision and give you more information to make this decision for you? Or what is that one thing that you're finding that this is expensive? What are you comparing it to? Right? Or if they'll be like, but we want to compare it to other designers, then you'll be like, yeah, of course. Again, sympathize. That's smart. You should. But when you compare it, please ask these three questions and then mention the questions which are based on the services that you provide. You know which services you provide, which other designers are not. And remember the pain points which the client had given you in the discovery call. Mention that you're going to get this, you're going to get this, you're going to get this. Mention that based on the same words that the client has used. So please compare it with this list. Don't just compare it with deliverables, but compare it on what the final outcome you're going to get. And then it will make your comparison easier. Now think of it, when your clients try to compare you to other people, on what basis are they going to compare you? Not on the deliverables. How are they going to compare you? Because the list which you have is going to be not based on deliverables, but on so many other things, right? So we'll start another kind of conversation. Then very favorite question. Can you do it for less? Right? So instead of saying that you want to discount and you want to do it, how about you say, I want to make sure that the result which we want to solve together, make it as a together statement, right? Don't say you and me. The result which you want to achieve for your space together, which you told me about earlier, instead of cutting the budget and not giving you exactly what you want and not solving the problems that you want, how about we prioritize from this what are the things that you need? So this is known as phase wise. So for example, if there are 10 things that the client wants to do, right? Let's say the 10 things cost me 1 lakh. Or let's say the 10 things cost me 10 lakh, right? So what I will do is let's do this into two phases. Phase one, I will do 5 things for 5 lakh and the next 5 things in phase two for 5 lakh. Now let me tell you how this helps. So for example, you are totally going to get 10 lakh only, and I'll tell you why. You will do phase one for 5 lakh. The client has done the work, paid you 5 lakh. And if you nail the project and you do a good job, they will go ahead and pay you for the next scope, which is the next 5 lakh. Yes, if you mess up, it will not convert. But if you do a good job in phase one, 99% they will pay you for the next phase. So by the end of it, the client wins. They think you've paid you 5 lakh first, and by the end of it, you have got 10 lakh. So you have won too, right? So this is an option which you can do when they're really adamant on reducing the cost and you don't want to reduce your fee. This is a great hack. I have used this many times. And the
So,
last one, yeah, sorry.
sorry, Tanvi, can I just, in this case, you like divide the project into two parts, something like that?
Yeah. So, for example, if you see, there'll be phase one and phase two, right? So, for example, you have to give drawings, 3Ds. There are multiple scopes of things you have to do, right? Like one
Yeah,
is go take the measurements, one is make the furniture layout, one is make the 3Ds and make the material list, blah blah blah. So, I'll divide it into two. Either you divide it scope wise or you divide it room wise. So, for example, if it was a 2 BHK or a 3 BHK, you'll be like, okay, from this 2 BHK, one of the rooms is a guest, right? So they want to prioritize maybe their bedroom over the guest bedroom. So you can be like, in phase one, I'll give you all of this for your bedroom, and in phase two, I'll do all of this for your guest bedroom, for example.
Mm.
So you can
Okay.
either divide the phase room wise or you can divide the phase scope wise, depending on the conversation you had.
Okay.
But by the end of it, if you nail the phase one, like if you do the work correctly, 99 or 100% they will come back to you for phase two
Yeah.
by Monday, right? So this I used to do a lot. I used to do this a lot when I was starting out. When I was like, my amounts were really high and I wasn't sure. I used to break it out down into 2 to 3 phases depending on the project size. And because my phase one used to be so good, I always used to get the next phase. It's just like a thing for them to feel good that okay, they in their head think that they've paid 5L, but at the end they end up paying 10L only. So it's a win-win, right? And the last objection is we need to discuss it with my wife, I need to discuss it with my family member, I need to blah blah, right? So again, don't argue, don't say you're wrong, don't try to push them. Be like, fair, I understand. Would it help if I sent you a short summary of everything we discussed so that it's easy for you to explain it to people? And trust me, I did this literally like 3 4 weeks back. This guy called me up from Bangalore, and he had a wife, and he was like, I need to discuss this with her. I said, cool, no problem. I sent him the summary. And because he had something to send a summary, because normally what do designers do? They'll be like, okay, we need to discuss this with the family, and you'll end the call, right? And you're waiting for them to discuss it. But when you give them a summary with a bit more detail, and they can share that to their whoever the person is they want to discuss, they find it much easier. And then when they're discussing it, they realize how much information you have given, and then the chances of converting are much higher. And then they'll realize, oh, this person has actually taken the effort to summarize all of this, so it makes it easier for me. So the pattern, regardless, it could be its expense, it's the pricing, it's the scope. The pattern remains the same. Every response, you ask back with a question. You don't argue. First, you be like, okay, I understand, and then you simply ask a question. So this is overall the entire uh, summary of this entire process. So now assignment. Literally, it's really simple. Go to Google Drive, okay? And in your name again, go to week 4. In week 4, there will be one sheet. There is one prompt.
Hmm.
Literally, what you have to do is from your previous workbook, the same thing, the niche, the power statement, the USP, and your client avatar and your ladder. You copy that and you paste this prompt, this one prompt. It will give you all the 8 to 9 answers one by one. And when you put in this prompt so first is you put in those answers on top.
Right,
Your
budget
same
question,
like in an
budget.
asset. Yeah, your
Okay.
niche, your avatar, your all those details. But I've marked it also in red there. You put in those details, you copy this prompt into Chat GPT, and it'll give you all the 9 answers together in one shot. So it'll be even easier for you all. Just copy
Okay.
their answers into the sheet. That's your only homework for this week. And I'm giving you less homework because please, please, please do the content from last week. Do your Instagram bio, do your Instagram 12 post and pin post and stories, and start DMing people, because that is what is going to get you clients.